Hello friends, it's Dave here from SaveDex, here to bring you another predictions video about what Nintendo will be bringing to E3. In today's video we'll be talking about Legend of Zelda, and I am once again joined by Scott from 1UpLevelUp.
Hello everyone, thank you again for having me back on.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. So Scott's got his own channel, which I just mentioned. It'll be linked in the top pinned comments, so check out his video after you've watched this one. And hopefully give him a subscribe if you like what you see over there. So let's just talk about because I think this is going to be the big thing for E3 this year, personally.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We've last found any news on Zelda 2 years ago at 2019 E3, and all they showed was a trailer, but the game looked like it was like almost done. Like it was like they wouldn't have shown a trailer like that unless the game was far along. And I believe they started this the sequel to Breath of the Wild right after they finished the DLC for the first game. And I believe the second game originally started out as DLC for Breath of the Wild, but they had so many ideas, just like they did with Mario Galaxy 2, they decided to make a whole new game out of it, which is super exciting. They're definitely going to be showing off this game, because he even said in the last Direct that we're going to be hearing more about Zelda this year, and I think now's the time.
Yeah, I think at that Direct people were disappointed when he said, later this year for it. But I went into that Direct knowing we weren't going to hear anything about it. I was like, right. It's an E3 game.
Right. and that's why I didn't understand why people had that kind of reaction to it, because I was like, I didn't think they were going to show this off until E3 anyways, so I 100% agree with you.
Do you think it'll be the first thing they show off or the last thing? So it's going to be
definitely.
Well, it's not going to be in the middle, let's face it.
No, this is how I think it's going to play out. They always have filler games and things that are less hype in the middle. I think they're going to start off with Smash Brothers character. Yeah. And then they're going to end with Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever this game ends up being.
Yeah. Do you think in the title they'll keep the word breath or keep the word wild?
I guess it all depends where they're going with this sequel, because, it is the same world, so I think they would want people to not get confused as to what game this is. So I'm thinking they might just stick with Breath of the Wild, or a form of it, like maybe like
something of the wild.
Like Death of the Wild or something, or something stupid like that,
I think he is the hero of the wild, isn't he? So wild is the word.
Oh,
from it.
Yeah, and Hero of the Wild, that would be a good title. The Legend of Zelda Hero of the Wild. Because I don't know. Breath of the Wild 2 is okay title, but it just sounds kind of like it's not really something that Zelda does. You don't usually add numbers in their titles,
Because even like the second game in the series was Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, but like the subtitle rule wasn't really applied.
Right.
Because if you look at the other direct sequels like Majora's Mask or Phantom Hourglass, they're not like Wind Waker 2 or Ocarina of Time 2, are they?
No. And so I think you're right. I think they are going to change the subtitle. To what that will be, I couldn't even begin to honestly guess. But
from a marketing point of view, you think they'd sort of make it clear that it's in the same series. But then in the past, they haven't done that. So
I would say, like you said earlier, I think either they're going to keep Breath or Wild in the subtitle, and then maybe just change something with it.
Yeah, it was sort of like a Link to the Past, a Link Between Worlds sort of deal.
Yeah, something that's similar but different.
Yeah. That's cool. So what do you think? What kind of things do you think? So it looks like we got some sort of underground stuff going on.
I believe Alan Numa stated a while back that this game will have a darker tone in vein of kind of what Majora's Mask did with Ocarina of Time.
I hope so.
Yeah, and even at the end of that trailer, it looks like we saw what looks to be Ganondorf, a zombified Ganondorf at the end. So I'm hoping he makes a return back. I would like to see from this game, in order to change it up, is to go underground, just because of the fact that we already explored the world of Breath of the Wild in its entirety, like every nook and cranny. Like I didn't. There are still things that I'm finding new to this day, but there are some people out there that probably found every rock in the world, and if they didn't change the world at all, they would be really disappointed and probably bored with the game. So they would have to find ways to change it up, and what better way to change it up than to go underground?
One idea I had was, did you beat Age of Calamity?
Did I beat it? No, I did not.
Okay, well, I don't really want to go into spoilers for it, really, but it sort of puts time travel into it and sort of creates its own continuity, so it's not really a prequel to Breath of the Wild. But I'm wondering whether what happens in that changes the timeline, so maybe this is a different Hyrule that's following Age of Calamity this time. But I don't know if they'll do that.
I don't think they will do that, just because I think people want something that's, a game that's directly after the Breath of the Wild. Now, it might not be like, weeks after. It could be months, it could be years, for all we know, because, Zelda has a haircut now, and they're probably want to make big changes to the world, so obviously some time is going to have to pass to make the world nice and fresh again. So I'm thinking if they are going to do anything, it's probably going to be a sequel, just not directly after Breath of the Wild 1.
It could be plenty of years after, because we know they have long lifespans in Hyrule. Number of characters that are over 100 years old.
Right, I mean, Link itself, he was asleep for 100 years, so...
So it could be like 10 years later and they physically haven't aged all that much.
No. And who knows, like, anyone who's played any of the Zelda games knows it takes a while for Ganondorf to come back after he gets defeated by Link, so, I mean, it could be a lot of time, who knows.
Yeah, definitely. So about any sort of new gameplay elements do you think they'll include?
That one's a tough one. I think they will keep the climbing and the gliding abilities. I mean, I guess it all depends how much time we're going to spend on the surface. Assuming that they are, I would like for them to keep those elements, because that was very important for the first game. But I would like to see some of the iconic items from previous games come back, maybe like the hook shot or the Baban shoes or something. Anything that we see in previous Zelda games, and I would like to see, like maybe in a form of like a rune, like they had in the first game.
Yeah, the hook shot. So I think things like the hook shot would, if we're retreading old grounds, something like the hook shot to let us traverse it quicker would be a good idea.
Yeah, because I understand why they didn't add that in the first game, because they wanted to have people explore. They didn't want for you to just skip important things in the world. They wanted you to explore everything. But now that we kind of explored it, I think it's not nearly as important to exclude an item like that, or people like us that want to just get through the game as fast as we can, or through a certain section that we've seen before.
Yeah, definitely. And they can just say, if you want to explore this land fully, buy the first game.
Exactly.
There you go. But it looks like a lot of people did that anyway, so it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
So do you think Zelda will be playable?
Do I think should be playable, or do I want her to be playable? As far as the want, yes, absolutely. I would want her to be playable 100%, and I actually want them to add 2-player co-op for the first time in this series, too. That would be an awesome addition.
Definitely.
But do I think that they will do it? Probably not.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Nintendo likes to play it safe with their franchises, and I don't know if that's going too far outside their conventions of Zelda. But they all know that we all want that. Like, I think it's time for Zelda to be playable in a mainline Zelda game. Like, yeah. I mean, her name's in the title, for God's sake, so let's do this.
Definitely. It's like, like you said, with Breath of the Wild, they revamped the series so drastically that would they want to play it safe in the sequel with the newly established formula. But who knows? I
mean, at this point, I think playing safe is probably the wrong move, just because the fact that I want them to innovate again with Breath of the Wild, and what better way to do that is to have two people explore that world together at the same time. Like, that would be epic. Split screen multiplayer, online multiplayer, I don't care. Either or both. But that game is so vast and so much fun. I could spend way like a lot more time in that world if I had a friend with me along for the ride.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets more replayability out of the game, and you could just kind of just mess around and just see what kind of weird things you can do in the world. Like,
I mean, you'd get a lot more funnier YouTube videos out of it.
oh yeah, I mean, there will be people out there, myself included, that will probably put their friend on top of a rock and try to launch them as far as they could.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It'd be easier to do it with someone else rather than you having to stasis, then slam it, then climb on before it launches.
Oh,
It'd be easier to have
absolutely.
a friend do it for you, wouldn't it? Okay, so next thing is release date. I want the exact date as well from you.
The exact date. Oh, that's a lot of pressure. I think if they show this off at E3, I think it will come out November this year. Let's say November 20th, just for, give you a date. And then if that happens, then there you go. You heard it from me first.
Did you just pick November 20th at random?
I did. That typically around that date is usually when they release a huge title in November. So there was a little bit of strategic thought to that, but yeah, it was just a random number for the most part.
That was the date that Age of Calamity came out.
Oh, was it real? Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe I just remembered it in the back of my mind and I just kind of just spat it out,
Yeah.
There's also another possibility that it could release on the 5-year anniversary of Breath of the Wild 1 in March. There's that possibility as well.
Yeah.
Maybe March 3rd.
One thing is, does Nintendo usually do things like that?
No.
They don't tend to pinpoint exact dates, do they, for releases?
No, and they also don't care about anniversaries either, because
True.
this year was Zelda's 35th anniversary back in February, I think it was, or March. And yeah, they didn't do anything for it.
Well, we're on that. Now you're bringing up the 35th anniversary. Do you think they were saving it for E3?
I think so. I would not be surprised if they did a huge Zelda segment, kind of like what they did with Mario last year. And if I do remember correctly, I think Mario was supposed to be at E3. I think it was going to be one big presentation. Like half it was going to be the normal direct, and then the other half was going to be the Mario 35th anniversary. And I think they're going to do a similar thing this year with Zelda. It's too good not to. Zelda is their second biggest franchise next to Mario, and they want to do something special for it. Why not do it at E3 this year? Especially with Breath of the Wild 2 coming out in the near future.
Sort of like what they did with Smash in 2018.
Yeah, and they did it with Zelda, I believe, in 2016, right?
Yeah, that was the only game they did a presentation on, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they had a few others for Treehouse, but Breath of the Wild reveal was the big thing. Yeah, the only real thing they brought new. Yeah.
Yeah.
So could be happening. So do you think they'll do like half the direct be Zelda 35th? I think that would go down well. So what else do you think? Because I did a prediction video last year, only mentioning Breath of the Wild 2 at the end, because I followed Mario's 35th anniversary direct as a formula for what they could do with Zelda.
Right.
So first, for example, the Game & Watch, they could do a Zelda Game & Watch, just like they did with Mario.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
And in place of the 3D World reports, I said Skyward Sword HD, which is what they're doing. So that's that covered. And and
so far so good.
And I also said a Skyward Sword Zelda amiibo, which is actually happening.
Yeah.
So everyone's
that's
excited
so
about that.
I know. Hopefully we can find one.
Yeah. Then I said, in place of the Mario Kart Live announcement, I said if they did another Link's crossbow training.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
In the Breath of the Wild world.
Oh, yes. Or even better yet, bring back the original game and add Breath of the Wild to it. Oh
yes.
My gosh, that'd be so much fun, dude.
That was a nice little game that came with the Zapper, wasn't it? And you got the Labo gun as well. People could use if they have that.
And people really underappreciated that game. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I probably played that just as much as I did Twilight Princess back when it came out.
It was short, but it was cheap, and it was a high score game, right?
Yeah,
that's all it was.
On-rail shooter Zelda game. What more could you want from that? You know,
there are even some levels where you could walk around freely as well.
Yes, that's right. You could.
So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see something else like that again. But anyway,
that's a good idea. I didn't even think of that, honestly.
Yeah. So for the Mario 35 Battle Royale, you could have a Zelda 99.
Yeah.
In that original map. Every time you kill an enemy, it gives you rupees, and you can spend that on bombs and arrows and things. Right.
And they can even take a page out of like roguelite, like indie roguelites, where every time you play, the map changes. Like you maybe only have certain sections of the map. You know, that kind of keep it fresh every single time, rather than playing through the same part of the map over and over and over again.
That'd true. Be cool. That would be cool. Even like kind of like the Link's Awakening's dungeon builder thing, where you could have different assets from the dungeons put in a random order.
Yeah. I mean, they already have an idea like that, so I mean, that doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibility at this point, you know.
Yeah, and what was the other thing I said? Oh yeah, the 3D All-Stars. I think it's all like if they put Wind Waker Twilight Princess as an HD collection.
Yeah, there's a couple different possibilities they could do with this. I originally thought they would have a Triforce collection, which would be Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess HD, all in one package. But now they can go... Yeah, I would absolutely love that. And I think... To some degree, I do think those games are coming. I just don't know what form. I don't know if they're going to be in its own separate package like that or not. But they can either go with those three in one package. I also heard rumors that they could go with Wind Waker and then the two 3DS games in one package as well. Ooh. Which would be a lot of fun because I actually never played those all the way through. I'm trying to think what they were. It was Spirit Tracks and
Phantom Hourglass.
What was? Yeah, Hourglass, and they were all in the same. They were all in the same world, so that would actually fit really well.
The thing is, because it would be difficult to, they'd have to properly remake those because they were all touch control.
Yeah, especially Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they need to touch that up a bit.
But you know what though? I mean, Skyward Sword is all motion controls, and they managed to bring it over to the Switch, so they could bring those games over as well.
I think the reason why they haven't announced... Okay, for a start, I know people criticise that Skyward Sword's its own full-price release, but Wind Waker and Twilight Princess both got their individual full-price releases 10 years after the original. Yes. So Skyward Sword's getting the same, that's no different. And, you know, but it's like... I reckon they haven't announced Wind Waker Twilight Princess as a collection, or if they put any more with it, because all the newcomers to the series will look at them and go, why would I buy this one game when I can buy two for the same price?
Right, absolutely.
So I reckon it's going to be another Mario Maker 2 situation where they'll announce it after New Super Mario Bros. U's come out. They'll announce it after Skyward Sword HD's come out.
Well, yeah, I mean, Skyward Sword is probably the most divisive game in the series, so they probably wanted to get that one out of the way first to see what people thought about it, you know, what their reactions were to it, you know, and it was the only one that wasn't re-released before too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And also, to really mirror Mario 3D All-Stars, have Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, so everyone can go, where's Majora's Mask? And then they'll end with a montage of all the Zelda games and leave out Majora's Mask.
They have to leave that one out because they left Galaxy 2 out. So to follow Mario 35th anniversary, they have to leave that one out. Unfortunately, fans, it's going to happen.
But the thing is, we're doing the thing where we're predicting patterns in what Nintendo does, and Nintendo doesn't follow patterns.
That's true. Well, so if they don't follow a pattern, this is my dream scenario, okay? If I could have them bring out every single Zelda game that I would want, this is what I would want. I would want Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask as one package for $60 probably. I mean, let's be honest, they're not going to be anything but $60.
Would they be HD, proper HD like Crash
Yes.
and Spyro style remake, or would it be like the 3DS ports?
I think they would be. I think they would do the 3DS ports because they already did those, and porting those over would probably not be that difficult. I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't know.
I wouldn't
game
mind seeing the
development,
3DS versions come over.
Yeah, and then I would like them to have Twilight Princess and Wind Waker as one collection.
Yeah.
And maybe bring like a 3DS collection over too. There you go.
Yeah, that was a good idea. So would that include Link Between Worlds as well?
Yes, that one would have 3. It would be Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, and then Link Between Worlds.
That's a good collection.
Yeah.
But also, I would like to see the 2 Oracle games get the Link's Awakening treatment.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about those as well. Being a massive Zelda fan like myself, I shame to admit that I've actually never played those games.
The thing is, kind of like, because they're on the... I have only played them on the 3DS Virtual Console. And they kind of need because it's obviously 2 buttons you have in that for all the items. So it's kind of like, well, it'd be nice to have the Link's Awakening style, all the buttons. But if they put the 2 games on one cartridge, but what the Oracle games did, I don't know if you know about the connectivity between them.
No, I don't.
Well, basically, they both came out on the same day. I think they're made by Capcom, these ones, and they're both completely separate games. They're not. Obviously they control the same, but the worlds are different. The dungeons are different. It has unique items in each one and different gimmicks. Like Oracle of Ages. Oracle of Ages is about time travel, and Oracle of Seasons, you change the seasons to change the world and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
when you beat one of them, you'll get a password. And if you put that password in at the beginning of the other one, it changes some of the cutscenes and dialogue so it becomes a sequel to the other one.
Really?
And if you beat it as a sequel, then you get an extra boss fight at the end, which I won't spoil. But
oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I thought they played kind of like the Pokemon games where they were the same game, just a little bit different. You know what I mean?
You could trade your choo-choo jellies between them.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't. I'm gonna have to find those games now if they don't put them over the Switch.
I'll just say if you have a 3DS, then Virtual Console there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
It'll be like $5 for you each. That's pretty good.
Yeah, probably pretty cheap, honestly.
Yeah. so if we get them, and then we've already got the NES ones and Link to the Past on the Switch Online, so that just leaves Minish Cap. Which, if they did GBA games on Nintendo Switch Online, that would sort that out.
Exactly. And that might be next. I mean, who knows? Like, I don't know if they'll go to either 64 or GBA next, but, I mean...
I'd like it to be Game Boy Family, like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance in one app.
Yeah, and then we get one game every 3 months or so, you know?
Every 4 months, let's be real.
Let's be honest with ourselves here.
And it'll be some like tennis game that plays like Pong or whatever.
Like, seriously, like, what are up with some of these obscure games that come out with? I didn't even know some of these games existed. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting some this week, aren't we? That I'd never heard of any of them. But then again, if they're games you've never heard of, they're new experiences, I suppose.
True. But I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say if they're going to add any more Virtual Console at this point. I mean, look at how long it took them to come out with Super NES, you know? So, I don't know.
But I mean, in a way, I am in favour of not drip feeding, but I'm in favour of not getting everything at once because you just wouldn't play them.
Right.
Like, I'm glad that they scattered, say, the Donkey Kong games, because like the first one comes and I'll play through it, and the second one comes, I'll play through that. But if they've released all 3 of them on the same day, I just wouldn't have played them. So I'm like, it just becomes a bit overwhelming, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm very much I call it the Netflix syndrome, where you have so many options that you spend hours just looking at what you want to play or watch, and then you end up not playing anything or watching anything at the end. You know,
it's like if all these
you just get so overwhelmed.
if all these Zelda games we've been talking about come on the Switch this year, I would not play them.
I know. It's like I want all these to come out, but I don't want them all at once. Like I like that they. That's why I'm kind of excited that Skyward Sword is by itself, because that's one game we can get through that, enjoy it for what it is, and then maybe they'll release like more games at the end of the year. That's what I'm hoping, you know.
Yeah. And if Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD are just ports of the Wii U, then we've already experienced those individually. So
if they come out with some of these Zelda games, like besides Breath of the Wild, when do you think they would release them?
That's the thing. I think Breath of the Wild will get priority. A holiday release for Breath of the Wild, I'm hoping, anyway.
Yeah, I think it could play out like I said, two ways. Like if Breath of the Wild does indeed is their holiday title, then I would think anything else would probably be in September, maybe, just to give us some space in between, you know, Skyward Sword, the other Zelda games, and then Breath of the Wild. But if Breath of the Wild doesn't come out until next year, then I believe that these Zelda games probably would be their holiday releases, because they're big enough, I think.
I think a Zelda collection will be, the holiday release if we don't get Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I think we've decided. Yes, that's what's going to happen.
Yes,
Nintendo watch things
and if, you know, let's just go crazy with this, because they released a new console with every Zelda game, you know, a Zelda game. You know where I'm going with this. They released a Zelda game with every new Switch console. So if they come out with a Pro, Breath of the Wild 2 will release with it.
Oh yeah, Link's Awakening came out around the light, didn't it?
Yeah, yes, it did. Same day.
There we go.
So it all depends. It all depends when they're going to release that. Is when Breath of the Wild will be released. Because if you know, we're riding on that now, Nintendo. The ball's in your court.
What if Breath of the Wild 2 was Switch Pro exclusive?
Oh my gosh! You know that would. They won't do that just because they don't want to do that to the fans. It will probably be like. Because they tried that with the new 3DS, and they only released like 2 games that were exclusive for that console.
It was Xenoblade Chronicles and Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah,
which was also on the Switch.
Right, and
both of them are on Switch.
Oh my god! No, I think if they do that, it'll be able to play on both consoles. I mean, they would have to, because it will. Yeah, I mean, that would be dumb. It'd be one of those situations where it will release with the Switch Pro, but it will also release on the Switch, but you'll get like the benefits from the Switch Pro, maybe like a higher frame rate, maybe a little bit better, like, you know, draw distance or whatever.
Yeah, just runs better overall.
Right. It's just it's like when you upgrade your computer, you know, you can play the more powerful games a lot smoother. That's basically what the Switch Pro is going to do.
Yeah. So anyway, I think Switch Pro is a discussion for the overall Nintendo prediction video, I reckon. Which is coming out tomorrow.
We could talk forever on that, so we'll just leave that.
Definitely. So I think we've agreed that Breath of the Wild 2 I think that's a definite for E3. I think Nintendo are really going to mess this up if they don't show Breath of the Wild 2. Even a trailer. There better be a trailer at the very least.
I mean, it's been 2 years. We definitely need something. I don't want to say we deserve it, but we kind of do deserve something, Nintendo. But it's time. It's either they're gonna drop a trailer, or maybe hopefully gameplay footage for you can see how this game is gonna play in comparison to the first game. But yeah, we are definitely gonna be seeing something for sure.
Cool. Right, so that's what we think about Zelda E3 this year. What do you guys think? Just let us know in the comments down below. Let's get some interesting chats going. Make sure you hit that subscribe as well. And speaking of subscribing, we've also 1UpLevelUp, is this man I'm talking to right now. If you want to tell people about your channel.
Yeah, so my channel is 1UpLevelUp. You can find it here on YouTube, and I also have a Twitter, 1UpLevelUp game. And then, like I said in the other video, I just post Nintendo-related content like yourself, and I'm gonna have a lot of reactions to E3 when it comes out. Let me tell you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, me too. Cool. Well, thank you so much for watching, everyone. See you in the next one.
Bye bye.